Thanks for watching my video. My name is Marshall Henry. I play the double bass with Symphoria, and today I wanted to talk about music theory and the idea of using half steps and whole steps to create different major scales. A half step is the smallest musical interval commonly used in Western tonal music. On the piano, a half step is played by moving up or moving down by one piano key. On the guitar, moving up or down one fret. Is a half step. The definition of an interval is the difference in pitch between two sounds. As I mentioned, I play the double bass with Symphoria. Probably the most famous double bass half step interval is from the theme music to the movie Jaws. This theme music was composed by the legendary composer John Williams. I have a story about the Jaws theme music that I wanted to share with you. When I was a graduate student, my bass teacher was named Kurt Maroki, and his bass teacher was Homer Mensch. Mr. Mensch actually played the Jaws bass theme that was used in the original 1975 film. As legend has it, after Mr. Mensch got home from work, after he was recording the Jaws theme all day, his wife asked, how was your day? And Mr. Mensch replied, I'm not sure how it went. I spent most of the day just playing half steps. Well, we all know how that turned out because Jaws is now one of the most famous soundtracks of all time. So I'm going to play the Jaws theme for you now. As you see, the music is written in bass clef. I know some of you might not be used to reading bass clef. Perhaps you're used to reading treble clef, or for the viola players, you're used to reading alto clef. So in this example, the first note is E, and the second note is F. In measure 3, in the third beat, there's a D natural. So the intervals between E and D, that's a whole step. Because if we were to play that on the piano, there would be one note in between E and D. Next, I want to talk about scales. A scale is a set of musical notes starting on a fundamental pitch. The key of C major, that doesn't have any flats or sharps. So the notes are just the white keys on the piano. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The major scale is actually just a combination of whole steps and half steps. C to D, that's a whole step because there's a white key in between. D to E, whole step. E to F, half step, because there isn't a white key in between the E to the F. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. B to C is a half step. Major scales always follow the same pattern of whole steps and half steps. The half steps are between the third and the fourth notes, and the seventh and the eighth notes. So now that we understand how major scales are constructed, let's pick another key and build that scale. Let's do D major. Probably many of you already know the sharps or flats in the key of D major, but let's say you don't know. Here's an easy way to figure it out. You can create the D major scale using the same pattern of half steps and whole steps. We know it needs to start with a whole step, D to E, followed by another whole step, E to F sharp, followed by a half step, F sharp to G, followed by another whole step, G to A, followed by another whole step, A to B, followed by another whole step, C sharp to D, finally a half step between the seventh and the eighth notes, C sharp to D. So the D major scale, whole step, half step, whole step. D major, it has two sharps, F sharp and C sharp. If you don't have a piano to reference, you could draw one out or label the notes, or you could just write out the 12 notes that exist. The term enharmonic means the same note but spelled out differently. E sharp is the same as F natural. In this lesson, I've been referring to sharps, but all of these ideas apply to flats as well. C sharp is the enharmonic note of D flat. As an exercise, I suggest creating some different major scales using this idea of half steps and whole steps. So enjoy. I hope you learned something. Thank you for listening.